Hello, thanks for tuning in to another episode of Walden Wong Art. And today I have the pleasure of meeting, what is your name?
Diana.
Diana doesn't really want to be on, but she's going to be asking me some questions, some interview questions.
Yeah.
Okay, so what's your first question?
First question is, how did you get into this amazing comic artist awesome career?
Okay, so the first question was, how did I get into this amazing comic book career? So as a kid, I always wanted to be an artist, but I didn't know if I wanted to be a comic book artist. So growing up, I bought comic books. So when I bought comic books, there was a store in San Francisco. It was called Oglio's. Oglio's. It was on Polk Street and Pine Street. There was a comic book store there.
It's near Rock.
Yeah, it's near here. The store's not there anymore. So that store, there was this guy working in there. His name was Arthur Adams. He was actually a comic book artist. So when I went there, he said, I bought comic books from him. And then one day he shipped a FedEx box. And I saw the FedEx box. There was a drawing of Wolverine. You know who Wolverine is?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's one of the X-Men characters.
Yeah.
So I asked him, what is that for? He goes, I draw comic books. So how do I get into it? I didn't know people actually drew comic books. So I asked him, and then he was helping me along the way. He gave me samples of some of his work, and I was practicing over his work. So that's my first exposure of how to get into comic books. So it was him telling me what to do.
It's really lucky to have you.
Oh yeah, I was very fortunate to have him there. Okay.
So
what school you're from again?
Mission College.
Mission College.
Yeah, Mission College.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the second one is, what are the requirements for entering into this profession? Does comic industry have internships?
Comic book industry, the publishers have internships, like DC Comics and Marvel Comics. Most of the big publishers that has a location, they have internships. I know some artist friends that I work with or spoke to, they'll do internships. Like they'll talk to the college and then they'll sign some papers, and the students can kind of do work for them. So there is that, but not as much as internships for the publishers. Yeah.
Compared to a lot of other industries.
Yeah, exactly. Like comic book industry is kind of small compared to like any kind of business. Yeah.
So the third question is, do you think it's necessary to develop one's career as a comic artist in Los Angeles or New York? It's kind of like, is there any geographical limitation for this job?
Working in comics, you don't really need to be anywhere. You can work at home. Unless you want to work directly at the publisher. I wanted to be a comic book artist. I was ready to leave San Francisco, and I live in San Francisco. I was ready to leave San Francisco and move to New York or Los Angeles. But as I started getting to work, I noticed that being a freelancer, you can do the work at home. So you don't really need to be at any different locations. Yeah, so it's nice. You just wake up out of bed and then go to your studio. If you have a studio in a different building, you can just go there. But it's a lot of freedom in doing the work.
Working on the garage and
working in a garage or a studio or in another bedroom that you made into your art studio.
That's really great.
Yeah.
Yes. So first, the fourth is, what's your work environment like?
My work environment. So I have a separate room in my home, and in there, right in front of me, there's a drawing table. And then on my right is my computer, another table. So usually when I do the work, I'll draw the work and I'll scan the artwork, and then scanning the artwork, I'll send it to the publishers. So the work environment is just a studio that has just work. No plays, things, or no video games. I don't play any video games. It's just all work stuff. So
you're trying to connect your stuff with Marvel or DC or some other industry ones and doing through internet?
So when I get work, the publishers, they'll contact me and ask me, hey Walden, I have this project. They'll explain the project and they ask me, do you have the time to work on this? So when I do have time, I'll respond yes. And then once I respond yes, the publishers or sometimes the other artists will start sending me materials, like references or pages, and I'll start working on it. And then usually they'll tell me the deadline, like, can you make this deadline? This is the date. Is it doable? And I look at the date and I look at the calendar, and then if it works, I just say yes, and then we start working from there. And then, for example, if I was working on one book and comic books on the average are 20 pages.
Oh yeah.
20 pages, all the rest is just ads, so it feels like it's a bigger book. So 20 pages, if you do 20 pages a month, basically a month is 20 business days, not including weekends.
20, yeah.
Like 5 days a week, 4 days.
So your speed is like a
Yeah,
one day,
so
one page.
if you do 1 day a page, you're in good shape.
Yeah.
But sometimes a publisher or editor will ask you, okay, you help out on this, then you're ending up doing more. But it's 1 day a page, but sometimes things come up, like say, oh, you need to step out and do some errands, so you need to make sure you're disciplined. That's another thing. If you want to be an artist, you have to be very disciplined. Yeah, you can't be going out all the time and then playing video games and then
enjoy traveling.
enjoy travel. You know what? It's good, nice that you said that. Sometimes when I travel, I bring my work with me. So I'll be drawing, inking on the airplane, in the hotel, on the boat, on the ship, or something like that. Yeah, but it's a very disciplined career.
Yeah, you need to do your work.
Yeah, if you don't do, because we get paid by the page, not by the hour.
Yeah.
So if we don't do the work, we don't get paid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah.
So, 5. How did you prepare yourself for this perfection?
How did I prepare?
Yourself.
How did I prepare?
For
Like,
this work?
like in the beginning?
Yeah, in the beginning.
In the beginning, okay, so in the beginning, I went to comic book conventions. And I drew, I inked samples. Samples, I would bring my portfolio to the comic book conventions, and then I would show publishers and editors. Because most times at comic book conventions, they have a portfolio review. Portfolio review, they'll have like a publisher there or an editor. They'll look through your pages, and then if they like your work, they'll give you the contact information. So I did that for a good year. It took me a year to do that. And then after a year, I got editors that thought that my work was okay. They asked me to call them back. So one of my first work was for Marvel on X-Force.
Oh.
Yeah, X-Force. That's my first
Wow,
published
that's
book. And then over at DC Comics, all this happened for me the same year. At DC Comics, the first work I did was JLA, Justice League of America. So those characters, they're Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, Flash, like all the main 7 core characters in there. So those were my first published work. So when there wasn't any comic book conventions, the sample packets that I make, the sample packet has photocopies of my work.
Oh.
And then a self-addressed stamp envelope. Because when I started doing this, there wasn't any internet. So it was a while.
Yeah.
So in that packet is copies of my inks, copy of the pencils, cover letter, the cover letter, as well as a self-addressed stamp envelope. Not so much a resume. The cover letter, because I didn't really have a resume in doing art. It was just a cover letter telling people what I want to do. So I sent it to as many publishers as I can. So usually, like in the past, I would go to a convention and I would go to Kinko's or some copy store and I would make 50 sample packets. So 50 big manila envelopes with copies and everything. And then when I go to conventions, I would give it all to any publishers or editors that would want it. Whatever that was left over, I would bring it home, and then I would look and find all the address of the publishers and then the names of the editors and assistant editors, and then I would send it out that way. So that means all 50 packets that I make, I would send it out. I would do that. So I was doing that for a whole year, like going to different comic book conventions. So it was a lot of work, but that was how I did it. Yeah.
Number 6. What personal qualities are important to being successful in this career?
Okay, so what personal qualities?
Qualities.
Okay.
Do you think is most important?
Yeah, this is a very good question. There's 3 qualities that's very important in being successful.
Yeah, 3.
So the first one, you have to be very good at what you do. The work that you do, you have to be very good. You have to be very fast. Yeah, very fast. And you have to be able to get along with people.
Yeah, teamwork.
Teamwork, yeah, because you'll be working with editors and colorists or letterers, writers. So you can get by with 2 of the 3, but if you have the 3 qualities, you'll be more successful. Like, for example, you can be a very good artist and very slow. You'll still get work, but maybe not as much work. You can be a bad artist but you can be very fast and you get along with people, and then you can still get work. But if you have those three qualities, being fast, being good at what you do, and being able to get along with people, and people will get along with you. Yeah, so those are the three qualities.
It's a great answer. And number seven, what part of this career do you find most satisfying or challenging?
The most satisfying, let's see, that's
So it's
the
working
most,
itself is satisfying enough, right?
yeah, the most satisfying thing in this career is that I get to work with all these different artists all over the world. So I get to work with people from different states, different countries. I also get to work with all these different characters. Like one day I can be working on Spider-Man, next day I can be working on Batman. And not only that, I get excited every time I get a new project, and they'll ask me, oh, would you be interested in working on Wolverine, or would you be interested in working on Superman? It's always exciting. Not only that, I also get excited working with different writers and different pencilers and different editors. It's just a exciting thing for me. Like I'm a people person, so I like talking to people. And then I like the excitement of getting the new work. So the most challenging part, as I mentioned earlier, is the deadlines. You have to be very disciplined. Sometimes you would be working on a project, and then things comes up, and then you can't get to it. Like, oh, I need to do this errand, or I need to do that, and then your pages stacks up. So as it gets closer towards the end of the due date, you may be working on 2 pages a day or 3 pages. So that's the rough part. So I have this reputation where a lot of people think I'm a fast artist. I'm not really a fast artist. What I do is I just sacrifice sleep time just to get the work done quicker. So that's the most challenging part.
That's it.
Okay.
So number 7. What part of this career? Oh, I already asked that.
Okay.
Number 8. Where do you think comics are heading? As the comic production process is more inclined to digital, from the modern age to the present, does comic tend to be more popular with young groups than discuss the political or social issues?
Okay. So
it's a long question.
So let me see the question.
So the first part is kind of like,
let me read it.
Do you think it's more digital?
Where do you think comics are heading? Are the comic production process is more inclined to digital from the modern age to the present? Does comic tend to be more popular with young group than discussing political and social issues? So I know these days, when I started comics, it was just the print. Like the print, you can buy comic books at a department store, like supermarket. Now they have digital comics like Comixology and Amazon Kindle. You can download that. But comics still, like one of the first digital comics for DC Comics was Superman Red Sun. That's one of the books I worked on. So the first 2 digital books were Watchmen and Superman Red Sun. So I was pretty happy about that. So and then Marvel and DC, they started selling actual print books that comes with a code to download the digital. I know the
You put on the back of the book and so you can download for free. Also.
So and then you can also just get the digital, which is more economical than buying the print one. But I think most of the older generation of comic collectors, they're more inclined on buying the actual comic books, whereas the newer ones who are using laptops and iPads, they do the digital downloads. I was talking to a friend of mine who buys comic books and reads comic books. I asked him, how many boxes of comics do you have? Because I have like 55 long boxes. He goes, I don't have any boxes. All mine is on my on my computer. So it's something that was eye-opening for me.
That's true. And so do you think about the creation part, because I follow in others page too, and I find it's kind of like more and more artists willing to do the digital work rather than just using hands.
So there's a lot of artists that does digital work, and then I was thinking about going that route too. But here's the thing, when you do your art in digital,
it's not so completely done.
It's not, you don't have the actual artwork when you're done. So here's something, like when I do comic book art, after I'm done, the artwork that I've done, the actual physical page, I get to keep that. I have that, okay? Unless I'm inking over a penciler and then we have to split the pages.
Yeah.
When I'm inking with a penciler and it's over original pencils, he gets to keep 2/3 of the art. I get to keep 1/3.
Yeah.
But if I'm doing the blue line printing, you know what blue line printing is?
I know.
Yeah, blue line printing is where I'm getting the files from
Yeah,
penciler and
me
I'll
too.
print out and ink it.
Yeah.
I get all 20 pages. Now, when you're doing traditional, when you're done, you have that actual piece of artwork. And then with that artwork, you can sell the artwork. That's like additional income. Yeah, so I have digital artist friends. When they're done with art, they don't have really actual physical artwork, so they don't have that income. And sometimes when they go to a comic book convention, they don't have actual physical artwork. They just have prints. They'll print out the work and they'll sell that. And then maybe they'll do commissions. So there's those two spectrums. Like depends if you want to do traditional digital. But I know you're a good digital artist.
I'm
but
trying to do the traditional. I think so basic.
yeah, I mean, if you know art, it's pretty much you can do digital and traditional the same way.
Same way.
Yeah, like I know with digital it's much quicker. It's much faster.
Quicker, but it's much less control than they have.
Yeah. So there's that. Like I know there's some artists who does digital work and they're not as good of an artist because they rely on the digital. Always looking for the Control Z, but yeah, like to correct that. But if you're traditional, it forces you to try to be more accurate sooner. Yeah. Does that answer your question? Okay.
Another is, do you think the comic book art is kind of like been through some changes?
Comic book art, is there some changes in comic book art?
Because usually, in 19s we have, 1980s we have also a social issue.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
And nowadays it's kind of like just big things,
Yeah, I think I know what you're talking about. Like a long time ago when comics came out, like Captain America would battle like World War II, more social issues. Yeah, I think now it's more just comic book stories and then try to relate. For example, like when Marvel was doing the Ultimate line,
Ultimate
they were trying to adapt like clothing into today's world.
Yeah, they did.
And I still remember like before there was iPhones, and then I remember working on a comic book. I can't remember which title, but I remember inking a page, and then the artist drew an iPhone on there, and then I was thinking, wow. He actually drew an iPhone because it was updating to today's environment. So anytime there's things that changes for the better, like comic books will go that direction. And even like some of the movies that are coming out, when the movies comes out and the movie corporations, they'll change the costumes a little bit. Comic books they'll follow the same direction. So it's different. Like the movies is doing a homage of the comics, and then the comics sees the movie and they're doing a homage of their homage. Homage. Does that answer your question? Okay.
Absolutely. Yeah, so mine. We're almost there. Yeah, we're almost there. So what is a typical starting salary in this field?
Okay, so the question was, what is a typical starting salary in this field? So that question, it varies. It varies. Different artists has a different page rate, and then different publishers offer a different page rate. So when I'll use Marvel and DC for example. When you start working for Marvel and DC, they'll establish a page rate for you. So there's a page rate committee. This is what happened to me. Like they'll look at all my work, they'll look at all my samples, and then they have a meeting, and then they'll say, okay, this person is worth this much, or this person's quality is a little better. So they'll contact you and tell you, this is your page rate, and then you can negotiate with them. Smaller publishers, like independent publishers, they'll have a lower page rate. Like right now, Marvel and DC are the top two publishers, so their rate is higher. So it depends on which publisher you work for, and also how much work you do. Like I mentioned earlier, freelance comic books, they're paid by the page. Also, you get royalties. So if the book prints a lot, you get like another check in the mail based on how much percentage you get. So it's an okay living. You're not living like movie stars or actors, but then you're okay to live by. I mean, before I started working in comics, I was just like a guy that lived in mom and dad's basement. But working for 22 years, I I have a family now, and then I have a house, and then I have a car. So yeah, cars. So it's livable.
It's
yeah, it's livable. It's not property, but it is a lot of hard work. Yeah, your income is based on how hard you're willing to work. Yeah. And then the income, there's also commission work. And the secondary income is like going to conventions. Like you go to a comic book convention, you have a booth, and then you start selling things there, and then you start drawing things there. So there's those income as well. Yeah. Does that answer the question?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah. So the final question is, what special advice would you give a person just start entering this career?
What special advice would you give a person just starting this career?
Yes.
Okay. If you love what you do, and you don't mind doing it for all your life, that's what's most important. Like when you start working, like right now, I've been doing this for so long, since 1996. I still can't believe people are paying me to do it. Like it's nice because even if they're not paying, it's like a hobby that became work. My advice is to always draw. Even when you're not drawing. For example, sometimes when I'm not working and I'm just on public transportation, or I'm like visiting a friend's house or going to a concert or whatever, right? I would look around and I would look at different structures, and I would think to myself, how would I approach drawing that? So my mind is always thinking about how to create textures, how to draw certain things, how to look at angles. Like drawing and doing artwork isn't just about doing art, it's also training yourself to see things. As an artist, you should be able to see a lot of things. So my advice is to draw every day. Sometimes it's impossible to draw every day, but if you can draw every day, I draw every day. Even when I'm not doing it for work, I would still be drawing.
I think it's necessary.
Yeah, if you draw every day and you focus and it's fun, then I think you go well. And here's my advice. A lot of artists, they'll go into this industry wanting to make work. Like when I went in, I wanted to make work, but the money was kind of more of a secondary thing to me. Yeah, because I wanted to do the work more than how much you get paid. Like when I started, I was doing stuff for independent publishers, and some of them didn't really pay me anything. They paid me like maybe $8 a page, which is lower than minimum wage because a page took me 10 hours to finish. But it got my foot in the door. Like I got my work published, and then when the books were published, I would use those comic books, and I would go to portfolio reviews, and I would give those to editors. Yeah, I'm a published artist. So when the editor sees that, they'll say, "Wow, this is a published artist. Maybe I'll look into the work a little bit more." Yeah, you're building your experience. And once you do a lot and you have more under your belt, then it does get easier. Like I can tell you, my first maybe I would say 5 to 10 years, it was a lot of hustling. Hustling as in like when I was done with one project or a few pages, I don't know what I'm going to do next or if I'll have any work. So you are going to be like a little bit like kind of scared. Because before working in comics, I used to work in the bank, Wells Fargo Bank as a bank teller and then a bank representative. And that was a full-time job with benefits.
It's kind of boring.
Yeah, it is boring. That's why I left it. But it paid me a good income. But when I became a comic book artist, I had to either decide should I do comics or give up the bank. So I was working full time, and then I left full time to be part time. And then when the comic book work started getting like bigger and better, I call it snowballing, getting bigger and bigger. Yeah, and I had to quit the bank job. Quit the bank job, and then you're eventually like right now. When you're starting an artist, you may feel like you have time to draw as many pages or as many artwork as you can, but after a while of drawing, your quality starts to go higher. Like the older you get, the more you draw, the more you're gonna challenge yourself, and that's natural. The more you challenge yourself, and then you look at some of your old artwork and you say, it's really not that good. Yeah. So when you get older, you find yourself finishing the artwork takes a little bit longer because your quality level is just higher.
You're focusing more.
Yeah.
Just finish the work.
Yeah, just finish work. Yeah, so, here's another thing that you should remember. Never hack the work. I don't know if you know what hacking the work means. Never just try to finish it and be done with it. Always put your best quality in the work. Quality over quantity. If you focus on your quality, everything else will come later. Like your work, the publishers, the pay. If you do good quality, just everything will come later. Yeah, I really mean that. Yeah, there's artists who would just hack the work. They're just drawing whatever and just turning it. They don't care how it looks like. Their careers aren't as long as if you do put quality work. Because people in the end, they'll remember your art style, your work, and they'll remember that, they can see your artwork and know that that's your work. Yeah, whereas a hack artist, they'll just look at it and they don't really know who it is, and it's not memorable. So if your work is memorable, people will remember you more.
Gotcha.
Yeah, because it's not who you know in this industry, is who knows you. Yeah. Does that answer?
It's
okay.
perfect. Thank you. That's all my questions.
Okay, so that's all the
I
questions.
really appreciate this.
Thank you. So that's all the questions from Diana from where?
Mission College.
From Mission College. I hope that helps you. And any of you guys on YouTube watching this, if you have any questions, please comment down below. I'll answer your questions. Please don't forget to subscribe, hit like, and the notification bell. And just got back from an interview, so I hope you enjoy that. That was Diana. She's from Mission College. She contacted me on Facebook asking if she can interview me. So she traveled all the way from Mission College to San Francisco, and we did the interview. So after we part ways, Diana, she gave me a little thank you card right over here at Walden Wong. I opened it up, and it's a little note of thanks. And when I looked at it, she wrote, "To Mr. Wong, thank you for your generous guidance and sharing, which was undoubtedly been the most important help in my career. Thank you ever sincerely for your good heart. Best wishes, you Sin." So that was Diana who just interviewed me earlier. So hopefully that was informative. Hopefully it was inspiring to you, regardless if you're thinking about getting a career in comic books or in any field, just the steps it takes to get to that point. So if you have any questions, please comment down below. I'll always respond to everyone who comments. If you notice, every comment that people post, I'm always responding back. That's the least I can do for your time watching my videos. And if you haven't done so already, please hit subscribe, hit the notification bell, so anytime I upload a video, you get a notification that I have a new video. Please share, and I'll check out all my social media links. I'll add links down below. So until next time, keep practicing your art, and before you know it, you'll be doing art professionally. That's basically what happened to me. Take care. Bye-bye.